Good afternoon, everyone. I just want to do a very quick follow-up to our fantastic webinar with Dr. Krishan Ramyead. He took us through some excellent slides on how to make a powerful first impression, in particular looking at posture. So we're now going to do a quick roundup for the websites and also address some of the great questions that came through on the session. So without further ado, I'll hand you over to Krishan, and he's just going to give us a bit of a summary about his work and some of the interesting things we can learn when assessing someone's posture. Thanks, Krishan.
Hi, Amy. Thank you. Nice to be with everyone again. So let's have a quick run through here. Oh, I'm just going to bring up our slides. Okay, so obviously I'm Dr. Krishan Ramyead. I'm a chiropractor and my practice is Thrive Chiropractic. The key for you to know is what I'm sharing is what I have seen working with over 21,000 patients. And I've noticed some patterns and they seem fairly universal, and the more and more I share this information, the more people I talk to about this, it certainly seems that way. So really what I'm sharing with you is my personal and clinical experience. Let's have a look here. So that's a little bit about who I am, and let's jump straight into obviously thanking Morgan McKinley for organising the event. So powerful first impression. So a few things is, remember, communication is at best 20% with words, the rest is body language. What's interesting about that is when we get stressed or when we try to make an impression, we tend to use more words, or actually using the least effective communication tool. We judge each other within 7 seconds. So if it's the first time you're connecting with me, you've already judged me based on my voice. And as I can say, that judgment extends to inauthenticity or other qualities over the phone. So this is something that we really need to get a handle on and just be aware of. So we talked about an impression, and here's the interesting thing is, it's often based on little evidence or not conscious thought. So it's not a conscious thing. It's something that we feel and sense relatively quickly. And that is something that can't be faked either. So we need to talk about how do we own it authentically and really have an impact with it. We talked about impressions and making an impact, and these are the things we really want to convey, is that I'm trustworthy, capable and friendly. And we have to really have impact, which is an emotional, authentic connection with someone. So let's have a look. What's your posture saying about you? How do you tell what someone is really saying? And this is what we're going to find out. And again, this is based on my personal experience through my years in practice. So let's have a look. So this is the first posture. This is the underlying principle we need to be aware of, is that the shape, position, tension, and tone of your spine is in relation to the shape, position, tension, and tone of your life. And I often say it as a joke, but you wouldn't see someone in a posture of ecstatic rapture, chest open, arms back, head back, telling you about how stressful their day was. Likewise, you wouldn't see someone curled up in a ball telling you how happy and excited they were. So our posture reflects what's going on inside us and indeed in our life. So let's have a look. Here's the first one, and we have a little guessing game. Have to guess how these people are feeling. So we've got a sports individual, Gerard, we've got a businessman, we've got a lady in a field, and a more artistic picture. And what you can notice from all of them, I want you to guess how you think they're feeling, so you can test yourself. You can pause this webinar now and have a guess. But you notice the head's going forward, and you can see more clearly in the lady here, her tailbone or her coccyx also seems to tuck under, so the whole spine is curved round. And these people are feeling lack. They want is abundant, but they're feeling like there's some kind of outward injustice. They might be quite angry, or these are your passive aggressives. They might feel like there's too much to do, or not enough time, or not enough resources. They might feel violated for feeling this way. Now, violation's a strong word, so they might actually have been horribly violated. It could be that someone cut them up on the way to work that morning. They'll be feeling that they're not worthy, or no one loves them this way, or there's not enough time, and they'll often be the people who say, I can't, it won't work. They feel like a victim of circumstance. So that's that posture. So how do you think these people are feeling? So looking at the gentleman in the top left, do you think that's an authentic smile? Or let me ask you honestly, why is it that you all know it's not? And this I find is more interesting. What we notice with these people is the head is going one way and the pelvis is going another. You can see it in the lady talking to the man in the lower left, and you can see that the lady on the top right just does not look happy. So I'm going to have a pause here. This is your chance to pause it if you're at home and have a guess how they're feeling, and now we'll find out. So these people also feel lack. They also want an abundance, but this is a lack of personal power, or they feel like they had to give something up, or they chose something because it made sense. These people say, I had to. I didn't have a choice. It has to be like this. It can't be the way I want it to be. So the first one is there is not enough. This one really is I'm not enough. And they do what they think they have to do, not what authentically them. And, what's the point, or resignation is the general tone of this individual. So let's look at this one. And I often joke and say, would you have a wildly passionate, ecstatic conversation or evening with any of these individuals? And again, I'll leave a pause for you to guess what's really going on, but you all seem to know, and audiences I've talked to all seem to be able to identify this. These individuals are thinking and not feeling like Spock. They need to be in control. They protect themselves from the unexpected, and emotions and spontaneous expression is definitely unexpected. So they don't want that. They love facts because you can control a fact. They might also circle round and round and round points but never quite make them. So, oh yeah, hi, I met this lady in the supermarket last night. Oh yeah, no. And then we got talking about her son. Oh yeah, and her son's going out with Mary's daughter, Lucy, and just before you know it, you have no idea what you're talking about. These people might actually be depressed but would never admit it because they don't like weakness, because admitting or having compassion for weakness might suggest they have to be compassionate for their own, and they're not interested in doing that. So these are the people in the office who are like, grow up, don't be a baby, sort yourself out, man up. All of these kind of phrases come out of this pattern, I believe, and this really is the epitome of I'm fine. So how are these people feeling? So looking in the top left, and think about in your own life, have you ever had someone exert their posture as a way to have authority over you? So top left versus Madonna there in the middle versus lower right, upper right. So top left really is, have a think, pause it, and this is your chance to guess, and then we'll talk our way through it. So coming back from the pause, the top left here really is I'm in control, I'm in charge. Get out of my way or get on the bus because we're going this way. Lower left, also using their pelvis, but this is more about, hey, I'm sassy. Look, I can get your attention. Madonna does this remarkably well and has done for many years. The lady in the lower right, similar to the upper left, authoritative, but upper right, pelvis going out. But this, I would say, is more unsure. So I believe our pelvis communicates several things, either an authoritativeness, a sassiness, or a lack of certainty. And it's really about our identity. And identity really, when it starts to deviate inside us, really is about who do I have to be, or who do I have to give up to be liked or to get loved or to get on in this environment. These people are interested in shoulds, roles, or rules, and there's a conflict generally between who you think you are and what's expected of you, who I am and who I think I have to be. So the idea is, please think this of me rather than see who I am. So a couple more to go. Would you willingly invite these people into your home? And if so, why not? What is it you can see about them? So I'm going to pause now so you can have a chance to have a guess, and then we'll talk about what you notice. So these people are generally angry. And what they really want to do is to trust. And they really would love to be able to trust people, especially as they project into the future how people are going to react to them or a situation or something. So this really shows up in relationships or in business meetings more than when people are on their own, or when people are put under pressure and they have to start trusting other people to deliver on time. This can be about a confrontation. They might think about it again and again and again and again, even before the confrontation's actually happened. So these are the people, when you say, pass me a pen, they're like, what? You want me to pass you this? You must be out of your mind. And they just overreact. These people might have wanted to punch but held it back. So there's a video right now, currently, the date of recording is the 19th of May. It's going around YouTube about an Asian boy who played a prank on his father, telling him that he had impregnated his girlfriend. And as it turned out, it was a complete prank that hadn't happened, but his father went into a fit of rage and started to hit him. It's a horrific video, but you can see, if you look at his posture, you'll recognize it from this. One last thing is, angry people can sometimes really feel grief. And it's easier and more socially and culturally acceptable for them to show anger than it is sadness. So just be aware of that when you're talking with these people. You might want to choose when's a good time to tell them certain things. So last one, how do you think these people are feeling? So I'll give you a pause so you have a chance to guess, and then we'll talk about it. So with these people, they're all looking up and their head is all tilted up to the sky. So these people tend to be afraid or have worry. And again, it's about the future. Is there going to be enough money, enough time, enough scheduling? Is there going to be enough to organise or administrate this project, or what have you? It's a bit what I like to call the rabbit in headlights posture. So as a quick summary, there are 4 major postural distortions. We're going to look at them in reverse order. So we just talked about trust, either head up, worry, or head down, feeling angry. Identity, which tends to involve the pelvis or hands on the pelvis or jutting hips. Passion, which tends to involve your head cocking to one side. And that's thinking, 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 not feeling, versus passionately expressing yourself spontaneously with emotion. There's abundance, either there is enough or I have enough. And those two tend to be a bit more intense because there's more icy, more tension locked into the spine, but also for someone to be feeling like that, they tend to be under more intense stress or they have more going on in their life. Let's have a look. So this is a quick quiz for you to use at home or with your friends as a playful joke. You've got two individuals. Which one do you think is stronger? Which one do you think man on left or right is more confident? Which one would you trust to do an important piece of work on time? Which one would you like to represent your company? Which one would you employ? Which one's got health concerns or feels angry or frustrated or depressed? Etc., etc. And hopefully it's fairly obvious what the answer to those questions are. The man on the right is clearly in a better position. So these are the three tools. You must use them together, but are remarkably powerful for how you can change this in yourself. The first, without being someone different. The first is master your physiology. And the one thing I want to say about this is I want you to think of a time when life was working really well for you. I want you to notice what instinctively you do. Some people will focus on the feelings they had, what was going on. Some people will focus on the intense meanings they had from situations, the words that were being shared. Some will talk about how they were using their body, the posture they were in, who was close to them, etc. I want you to find out which one of these three is the strongest for you, because we all have a strength and we all have a weakness. And what we want you to do is identify your strength and work with it. So for me, physiology is my strength. So I move my body a tremendous amount. And the second thing that's really easy for me is language and meaning. So I'm going to give you a summary of those in a second. Focus is the thing I start with least. So I want to help you find what your strength is. Think of what time when things were working well, where you felt really confident and strong. Notice what you were doing, what was going on for you, see if you can identify it. So summarising that, physiology, move, stretch, hold. There's some research done by a lady. There's a TED talk on this. Forgive me, I forget her name. But she found that if we hold certain postures for 2 minutes, it convinces our brain that we're actually feeling the posture we're holding, and it changes our blood chemistry and the brain hormones and brain chemistry changes. So that can be really powerful because you can literally make yourself feel something. So if you want to be confident, hold yourself in a confident posture, chest back, shoulders down, looking straight ahead, hold it for a couple of minutes, your brain will start to feel that way. Tremendous. So you can use that to your advantage. If simpler, I prefer just to move and stretch. And my clinical work is about making that happen effortlessly. Focus, remember, imagine a time where you're confident or you had strength or perseverance. Your brain doesn't know the difference between what you remember and imagine and what's real. So that's a really powerful tool. Perseverance, because it's one of the most sought after qualities in human beings and one that we admire the most. So think about a time, or think about a time where you showed perseverance. We all have. Or just imagine what it would be like to have that, see how that feels in your body, and that would certainly change what people think of you. Lastly, language. Ask different questions. So I often, you'll hear me when I talk, I use the word challenge a lot, much more than problem. Problem is you can just, if you just, I want you to practice saying, I have a problem, I have a challenge. Problem tends to make us sink. It feels heavy. It feels something like something difficult or problematic, or even just it's going to be difficult to overcome. Challenge invokes excitement, even though you can be talking about the exact same thing. The last thing is questions. What must I do? How can I express my courage now? Is very different as a question as opposed to who's to blame, or what's wrong with me, or why can't I ever get through this? So you can use the questions you use very differently. Likely, where's the gift in this? Vastly different feel. And they're all free of charge. So Nobel Prize winning medical doctor talked about mechanical distortion relating to energy, thinking, metabolism. What I'm really interested in is making sure you can be in posture A as much as possible, and visit posture B. If someone passes away, if you have a really bad day or something happened, it's not a problem to be in posture B, just don't stay there. I want you to have the flexibility to move, and taking charge of your focus, physiology, and language, unless I can work with you personally, is going to be the best thing you can do for that, in my opinion. So my interest, as I said, is this thing called NSA. You can look up our website and find out more, but there are techniques that have been developed that help your body and brain adapt to this effortlessly. So without you having to try and do it, we can essentially help your brain and nervous system be a bit more coherent. And you can look at the website and find out more about that. Making great impressions are possible. Some parting advice. Be yourself. Everyone can tell a fake a million miles away, and no one likes a fake. You have a unique, irreplaceable value. I believe everyone does, otherwise we wouldn't be here. That's my worldview. Regardless if you believe in evolution or a creation idea of humanity, I don't believe that Mother Nature or evolution would keep something that's not working longer than it needs to. I think it's quite ruthless if you actually look at how it operates. My point is, I think there's a unique and irreplaceable quality about you. Your job is to find it and to share it with the world. And here's a clue. It'll be something you do effortlessly. It'll be something that you do without thinking about it. We only think about the things we struggle with. The things that work well, and we don't notice it. Like this laptop is working beautifully. I have no idea what's going on inside it. But if there's a problem, I'll find out. Commit yourself to consistent improvement. It's a quality we all love. Be as vulnerably honest and as open as you can. We're all more compassionate towards this than defensiveness. And lastly, be yourself, but be yourself at your best. Take control of your focus, physiology, and language. Show up as the best you. Commit to showing up as the best you possible each day, and improve that day by day, even by just a % improvement. You will be amazed at who you become and at the impact you have. And I really, really hope it's my heartfelt wish you get to enjoy life like that, because it is tremendous. So let's see what we have here. Your next steps. We have an introductory talk in Bournemouth when my practice is the 7th of June. Sorry, 2nd of June at 7 p.m. Come for a complimentary stress, health, or posture exam. I'm going to give you my details. If you're not in the Bournemouth or even the UK area, let me know. I'll see if I can find a practitioner near you who's willing to honour a complimentary examination. And stay connected via Facebook and Twitter for more information and advice. I really look forward to sharing more about you as we go. So let's see here. I think we've got some questions. This is my information. My website's there. The phone number's on there. Twitter and Facebook are there. Please share what you've learned. It really does have a tremendous impact. Now we're going to just take a few moments here for a couple of questions.
Yep, fantastic. Thanks, Krishan.
You're welcome.
We had lots of questions on the actual webinar, so I've picked out a few of the good ones and the ones we didn't get to answer. So first question, can we affect change in others through the posture that we hold? I.e., if there's an unconfident person in a position of power versus a confident subordinate to them?
That's a fantastic question. So what I basically heard is, can I use my posture to influence someone who may not be feeling that great? And if that's in a work position where there's a subordinate trying to encourage support and influence someone who might be in a higher position than him. The answer is absolutely yes. I mean, we've all had the experience where we walk into a room and there's been an argument, and you can kind of feel chills in the room. or you walk into a situation where people are having a great time, and you walk in the room and everyone goes quiet. We've had experiences where we can feel the effect in a room and how we can have an effect on a room. And I believe, at least in my experience, it works positively and negatively. So if you walk in the room in the best possible state, I believe we impact other people. It's what personally I know from personal and clinical experience. If I walk into a room and I go to put my hands on someone's spine and nervous system, and I'm not in the best state, which happens very, very rarely, but if it does, you can almost see that person drop. So, I would say, posture yourself and inspire that person with your language. Be the best you can be, with the intention of, hey, I want to positively impact everyone around me. I'm going to really own my physiology and my language and my focus, ask great questions, really focus on what's working and what needs improving and how we can work together and collaborate to do that. I'm sure that will have an impact. The other thing that can be done is very simple. It's just say, hey, I'm noticing, or I think what I'm getting from you in this situation is that you don't feel confident, maybe need some reassurance. Am I right? And just ask. And in my experience, most people are just longing to be asked, longing to be connected with. And if you do that alone, I'm sure that will help. If you do that and add your posture and you being in the best possible state, then heck, I'm sure it will be wonderful for them to know they've got an employee or a colleague they can really trust. Great question.
Great, thank you. Another question, we've had a few similar, is how can you adjust and control your posture if you suffer with, there was a few different illnesses, but basically if you suffer with an ailment or an illness?
Great, and this is a fantastic question. It doesn't, at least in my experience, it doesn't matter what's going on in your body, we can all control our focus, what we choose to focus on, and the meaning we give things. It seems to be Viktor Frankl in his great book, Man's Search for Meaning. So this was a man in a concentration camp, wrote about his experiences and said that the last human dignity is the ability to control what we focus on and the meaning we give things, essentially. I'm paraphrasing, but this is what he said. So it doesn't matter what's going on in your body, you can still choose to focus on, hey, how can I add value to the people around me? How can I uplift the people around me? How can I inspire the people around me? How can I do such an amazing job that gets talked about? Or how can, you can ask a different question. You can choose to focus on something different. And depending on any physical disability you have, use your physiology, move it as much as you can. I always find that humor, vulnerability, and levity tend to work really, really, really well when if you're physically challenged. I mean, I've had situations where I've broken limbs and I've been in meetings. Now, it's not as severe as maybe a genetic condition. However, bringing it can be a source for lightening the whole room, or it can be something that becomes a pink elephant that drags the whole room down. But focus, language, and physiology would be the tips I would say to use for that.
Thank you. Okay. Someone here, I'm in HR in France. Can you tell me if these techniques work in every culture?
Yeah.
I work with 20 different nationalities. So is there any cultural difference in the posture?
I love this question, and we actually had a few people ask this live. The postures we adopt are unique and universal across the planet, in my experience. Now, I've worked with people from some 20 plus countries, some 30 plus different nationalities. So I've worked in many, so I've worked across most continents, and I've worked with people, I would say now, about more than 30 different nationalities. So my clinical and personal experience is that they're universal. There are certainly cultural differences that need to be respected. And I would say that's more about how we conduct ourselves versus what our posture is saying. Meaning, if you're meeting someone from Japan or China, the way you conduct yourself is different. You may bow. There are certain rituals you might respect. If you're in China, you don't leave the teapot with the spout facing someone. That's considered disrespectful. In France, the highly mentalized, contextualized understanding of things is very respected. So you really want to make sure that that's paid attention to. But in terms of what our posture says about you, if your physiology is the best you can make it, if your language is excellent, the questions you're asking yourself and others, and your focus is great, you'll have a great impression. And you will find, I believe, you will find yourself conducting those rituals with more authenticity if you're in a better place than if you're not. So, just to summarize, the postures I believe are universal. How we make ourselves operate at our best is universal. I believe if we use those two to our advantage, then how we will respect different cultures and their rituals will be better than it would if we didn't. That would be my advice for that question.
Okay.
I hope that answered it.
Thank you. Someone else. I'm in Ireland and presenting on a conference call to a leadership team in the USA who I've never met. What do you recommend verbally to ensure a great first impression?
Sure. I mean, well, congratulations, and that's a fantastic opportunity. Well done, and good luck. So you're talking on a webinar to people you've never met, and they're in leadership. If people are in leadership, they need vision. They need to connect with they need to connect with two things. Why are we doing this? And how are we going to do it? If you're communicating with leaders, you need to really separate those two questions, because a lot of people, when you ask why, what's the bigger picture? Why are we doing this? What are we going to, sorry, you see, I even did it there. Why are we doing this? What's the big vision of what we're going to create here? So you're looking for how you're going to flesh out why. A lot of people will start answering what, meaning that's not possible. We could never do it, etc., etc. How are you going to make that possible? What has to be done? And whoa, 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 whoa. So I said the first thing when you're talking with leaders is separate why and what. So that your why is the bigger reason, and you really want to connect when you're speaking with leaders. I believe connect them so that you can show that you have a common sense of why. If you're talking to a leadership team, they need to know you understand their why, you feel it, you know it, you understand it, and you're going to work with it. Then I would say start communicating the what that's going to lead towards the why happening, and don't confuse the two. Likewise, so let's take this generally into your life. If you're communicating with anyone, when you start to lag your motivation and you need some oomph, you ask yourself a why question. Why am I doing this? Meaning, like, what's the bigger purpose here? When you need to figure out what's your next step, ask what's next? What has to happen? And go and find someone who can help you if you don't know. But with leadership environments, Get your physiology, your focus, and your language in a peak possible state. So move, ask better questions, focus on why you're doing this, how it's going to impact many lives, and many lives through these leaders, and get the focus on why and what.
Lovely, thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, can you discuss an appropriate posture when interviewing for a job? That's
When
a great
interviewing,
question.
Sure. I interview people in my practice, so I have assistants and a manager that work with me. I would say be as natural and authentic as you can be. Meaning, I would say, if you want, I would also say it depends on the employee you're looking for. So the way I do it is I have a professional yet relaxed working environment. So I conduct myself like that. I'm professional yet I'm relaxed. For example, we do group interviews, and one part of the group interview we do is we ask people to stand up individually and tell me why we think they should hire us, why they think we should hire them. And I'm watching to see group dynamics. I'm watching everyone's posture, obviously, and I'm watching to see I'm watching the listeners as much as I am the speaker. Because if someone's not listening, I can tell you they're not interested in people, they're not right for working in my practice. My point being, bear with me here, is one of the candidates recently said, I'm bragging. And I said, well, I'm expecting some bragging. and that's our style, and that's just authentically us. Meaning, we understand you're stressed, you're, in an environment where you might feel a little uncomfortable, as comfortable as we've made you feel, nonetheless, you might feel uncomfortable. So we want to help them relax. So I would say conduct yourself in as relaxed yet professional manner as possible, because really when you do that, people's barriers come down and you really get to know them. And when I find when you put people under pressure, and all jobs do this, some more than others, they either focus or fold. And the more you can really get to know them, the more I believe you can get to know how they're going to perform in your work. I believe how we do anything is how we do everything. And that might sound a bit extreme, but we've got the same brain and nervous system conducting ourselves in any environment. So I would want the individuals to feel so relaxed that they could really show me their true colours, and I could get an amazing assessment. I would avoid, trying to and I know sometimes you need to sell the company or sell the environment you're working with, but I would just do it openly and honestly, and just say, look, this is where we are, and just avoid putting your hands on your hips if you're trying to get people to think something of you, because they're going to be, hang on a minute, I don't like the feel of this. And just keep yourself in as natural and as neutral, i.e. just sitting up with your head straight on your shoulders, not cocked too much, not twisted in your body too much, just so you can say, look, I'm open, I'm honest, I'm here, I want to listen, find out more about you, and find out if you're right for us and if we're right for you, because if we're not, we're wasting everyone's time. No one wants to do that. So I hope so. Summarizing, be natural, be neutral, and I would say be as professional and yet as relaxing as you can, because you'll discover the other person's true colours. And I think really that's, in my opinion, one of the most important in terms of working with people.
Mm-hmm. I've actually got a question from me. I had a meeting recently, like a new business meeting,
Sure.
and the person that I met with, I was expecting them to ask me a lot of questions about my work and what I can do, but actually they were talking at me
Sure.
about the company, and I found it difficult to intervene and add value. How would you react in that kind of
Sure.
situation?
So just, if I heard you right, you were in a business meeting.
Yeah.
You were with a client or with a...
Like a prospect.
Oh, a prospect.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So you're with a prospect and they're talking at you.
Yeah.
And you're there waiting to tell them how you can add value.
Yes.
Or a purpose of the meeting is for them to get how you can add value.
Sure.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And they're not giving you the opportunity.
No.
Okay. So I would say, I can almost guess the posture that someone like that would be in.
A bit like this.
Yeah. So I would say this person has a need for significance. So I would meet that need. Wow. Tell me more. This is amazing. I can really make sure that their need for, and then I would say, okay, so if I've heard you right, the company's like this, 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 and just really make sure they feel heard and say, can I add some things? Just ask their permission. But it's, in my experience, it's very rare that if you ask someone, can I add something, that they say no. Unless they really don't want you to. And that's not a manipulative thing. You're genuinely asking them permission, but most people say yeah.
Yeah.
If they feel heard. So I would just hear them say, so And you might want to say, so hang on a minute, I just want to interrupt you a second to make sure we're on the same page, because you've just told me a lot there. Mm-hmm. So this is what you told me, and repeat it back to them so they feel heard. Just say, is it a good time now to add something? Sure. And if they feel heard and like they're with you and you've got rapport with them, they're likely to go, you know what, she understands. Yeah, sure, off you go, add some stuff. That's how I do it. So just, honestly, hang on, that was a lot. Can I just process that? Yeah. And this is this openness and honesty. And then, can I add something? This is what I heard. And have fun.
Cool, thank you.
You're welcome.
Helpful. Okay, so a couple of other questions here. How do you repair a bad first impression? That's a great one.
That's a fantastic question. It can be done. It is challenging, but it can be done. This is how I would do it. So let's say you walk into a room in a huff. I'll give an extreme example. And you've obviously conducted yourself in a manner less than professional. Or you've come home to a loved one and you start blabbering on about you, even though you saw this person was upset and wanted to tell you something. What I would do personally and what I advise, this is, so world according to Krishan, this is my personal opinion, this is what I would do, what I think is what I think is a very effective strategy is just to say, well, hang on a second, whoa. Just say, I'm sorry, I've come in here in a foul mood or I'm angry. Look, it has nothing to do with you. I've had this situation, or just tell them I'm feeling angry. Look, my need for being acknowledged wasn't met over there. I'm sorry I brought that in here. Can we start again? And most people, again, I've met will go, sure. And if you're willing to show, now obviously it's not ideal because you haven't made the best first impression, but if you're willing to show, hey, look, I'm congruent and confident and honest enough to say, look, that wasn't my best. Can we reorganize? Can we just acknowledge that and start again? I found that's the best way to repair them.
Cool, fantastic. Thanks, Krishan.
Welcome.
So I think that's all the questions we've got time for on this recording. All the details you'll find either on this web page or this email, depending how you've received this video. So if you're interested to get in touch with Morgan McKinley or with Krishan to hear more about his services, you can do so on the contact details below. And we look forward to welcoming you at further events. So thank you, and thanks for your time today, Krishan.
Thank you.